Hi, it's Cassie Hicks from Modern Marketing Spark and the Modern Marketing Club. Welcome to today's Facebook Live. Every week at this time we have a social media update, and today we're going to talk about the Facebook algorithm, what it is and what does it mean for your business, and how can you overcome and survive and thrive with the changes that are coming up. They're starting to come in already actually on Facebook, and make sure that you can still promote your business. So let me know as you join the call. I always like to say hi, and I'd love your questions too. This is always much more fun. And of course, what Facebook's looking for, one of the big changes with the Newsfeed, hi there, Facebook's looking for meaningful interaction. So let's make sure we have lots of meaningful interaction. So the Facebook algorithm, you've probably heard of it. It's not anything new. So first of all, I want you to imagine the Statue of Liberty in America. So as you go into New York, you've got the Statue of Liberty, and there she is holding the torch. And if you imagine all the content that's created every day and you stacked it up, it would reach to the top of the Statue of Liberty. So you just imagine how much content that is. Because if you think about it, think about how many times you're posting on social media and commenting, and Facebook has to take the Statue of Liberty's height's worth of content every day and distill that down to what you can read in your newsfeed, which actually is about 300 posts. And if you think about it, even 300 posts seems like a lot, doesn't it? But that's what we typically, us 2 billion active users on Facebook, that's what we typically consume in a day, is about 300 posts. So Facebook has to have a way to decide of this Statue of Liberty height worth of content, how, which posts, which stories is it going to show to you. So you may have heard of EdgeRank. That's how the algorithm works, and it's a bit like the Google algorithm. People have been trying to work out how it works. But we do know there's some key parts to the algorithm. One is engagement, and that's why if you hear people talking about engagement on social media, that's why it's so important, because the more your content, your posts on social media are engaged with, people are interacting with you, the more they're going to be shown to people's friends and connections and other people that would be interested. So Facebook's very clever. It's a bit big brother-ish, but it's very clever. So if you share a post, or if there's a very viral post, for example, think of Chewbacca Mum. Because so many people looked at that post and liked it and shared it and commented and said, oh, isn't this funny? Oh, you've got to see this, or this is the funniest thing I've seen. Facebook thought, yeah, this is something that people are interested in. It's relevant. And so it showed it to more people, and it's a snowball effect. Now, you can't have that complete viral snowball effect with every single post that you post, but you need to be thinking with your posts about what's going to be really of interest to your audience and the people that you want to attract, what is going to bring value, what's going to be entertaining, what's going to make people want to share, what's going to make your audience look good to their audience, because that's the type of content that people are going to want to share. So if I find something that's very funny, or I know that's going to make you look good, then that's going to be popular and more people are going to see that. Hi guys, do let me know who's here by sharing in the comments, and I'd love your questions too. We're talking about the Facebook algorithm, and let me share some tips with you. Some of you may know I was at the Facebook Gather event in Brussels recently, a few weeks ago, and a lot of talk about the future of marketing, what we as marketers need to do better, what the way that the world is changing and how we need to adapt to that as small business owners. Oh, hi Angela, thank you. So I want to run through 5 tips for you today on making the most, or overcoming, surviving, whatever the best phrase is, the Facebook algorithm. Because if you're marketing on Facebook, then it's really important that you understand this stuff so that you don't get left behind. Otherwise what happens is, and this is why a lot of people are panicking, you've got a Facebook page, you may have spent time and money building up your followers on that page, and all of a sudden nobody's going to see what you're posting. So organic reach, the free posts reach has really gone down. It's probably going to get to 0 if it hasn't already got to 0. But there's some things you can do. So let's jump in and look at some of these. Let's look at the 5 tips. So tip number 1 is to show, don't tell. So one of the best things you can do on social media, and you'll know this instinctively, is to tell stories and to share stories. That's why people like magazines and people like those sort of, lad Bible type of Facebook pages and posts, because they're human interest stories. So let's take, for example, Instagram. So there's 2 ways of using Instagram. You've got you can post on Instagram like you do on Facebook, and that's probably what I'd recommend for your brand, your key messages and your brand. But you can also use Instagram for stories, and you might want to, with stories, use that a bit more for the sort of the behind the scenes. Here's some fun things I've been working on, or here's the team, here's the office, here's the dog, that sort of thing. So show, don't tell is going to be a really important part, and it's an important part of marketing anyway. If you think about it, your best posts, your best emails, your best engagement and relationships that you build with your community are around telling stories. So show, don't tell. Now the next one is to make sure that you are, tip number 2 is to make sure that you're is to look at how you're starting conversations on social media. So again, rather than just posting, so I think the message here is the days of just posting, particularly using the a Hootsuite or a Buffer and then thinking, right, that's it, my marketing's done, I can go and do something else now. Those days have gone. So you need to really think about, how can I engage people in conversation? So on your page, whether it's Instagram, whether it's a Facebook group, really important to be asking questions that are easy for people to answer. So you want to start having those conversations. Or there's other ways to do it. You can be controversial, that works for some people, and you can say, here's something I've seen, I think that's a load of rubbish, or I think it's the best thing I've ever seen, what do you think? And people love to give their opinion, don't they? You'll notice that on social media or in any parts of life. If you've ever got in a taxi in London, the cab drivers will, you can put the world to rights in a taxi ride in London. So it's the same on social media. You can ask for opinions, you can talk about something you've seen, you can give your opinion, and that's a good way for you to position yourself as an expert as well. But make sure that always in the back of your mind you need to be thinking, how can I start conversations? And extra brownie points for you if you can start conversations which then start conversations between each other. And I love the fact in the Modern Marketing Club now that you guys are talking to each other. So when you start a Facebook group, it's very much it's you as the host of the group posting content and trying to get people engaged and building up that momentum. But once you get to a certain size and you've got a nice active group of people, you'll find that people start helping each other, and Facebook knows that, and Facebook really likes that. So the more you can get that type of engagement going, the better. Tip number 3 is not going to be a surprise to anyone. Probably sound like a broken record. Facebook Live. So the best thing you can do if you want to get in front of a wider audience and you want to promote your business for free on Facebook is to use Facebook Live. So I feel like I say that almost every week. So that's almost, to me, doesn't seem like news, but in case you haven't heard me say that before, or maybe you've heard me say it but you've thought, not for me, I'll just stick to doing things the way I do them, please think about Facebook Live. And you can live stream on, I think, on most of the platforms now. Facebook wants it wants more live content, and so it's going to prioritize that content. So while it's doing that for free, make the most of it. Let Facebook do your marketing, do some heavy lifting for you. I've run challenges in the Modern Marketing Club on Facebook Live, but my best advice to you is just give it a go. If you want a nice, safe, friendly environment, you are welcome to live stream into the Modern Marketing Club. Just come, introduce yourself, say hi, and just use that as a place to just to get comfortable with Facebook Lives. And if you search for the Facebook Live challenge, you'll see that people, when they first started, I'm thinking of a particular lady, she said she'd recorded it 3 times, and the internet wasn't right, and then the lighting wasn't right, and then she noticed something was behind her wasn't right, and she agonised, and then by I think the second time she did the Facebook Live, she was just, oh, here we are, here are my products, here's what I do, and it was, and then now she's just a natural. So it doesn't have to be complicated or sophisticated or difficult, but do try out Facebook Live if you haven't done already. You will get a much, much bigger reach. Tip number 4 is to run ads. Now, some of you might not like to hear that. If you don't want to pay for ads on Facebook, that's absolutely fine, but you'll need to get really good at your Facebook Lives, and you'll need to have a very good content strategy. Just so happens I have a new freebie I've put together showing you how to map out your content strategy. So if you'd like a copy of that, just type content in the message box, even if you're listening to this on replay, and I'll send you a copy of that when it's ready. Should be in the next week or so. So if you don't want to pay for ads, that's fine. Get yourself a really killer content strategy and start using Facebook Lives. But I would recommend that you definitely try Facebook ads and content. Give Facebook ads a go. Now, the great thing about Facebook ads is that you don't have to have a massive budget. You have to have a budget, but you don't have to have a massive budget. So, hi guys, please do post any questions, because this is a Q&A session, so I'm just sharing my tips, but I'd much rather answer questions or hear what you think. Have you experienced any of the things I'm talking about? Have you seen your organic reach drop down? Have you tried Facebook Live? Has it worked for you? How are you doing with starting conversations on your page or in your group? Talk to me. Yeah, I'd love to know what you think, because very easy for me to sit here and tell you all this stuff. Oh, that's a great question. Angela's asking, what's the smallest budget you've seen someone work with? Well, I've got a case study of a client who spent, what's the lowest amount? I had someone that spent, I think it was either 50 or £100, so that's about $100, $150. And they got 6 clients on the back of it, which was about £5,000 worth. So they got back 100 times their spend, basically, in new business. And that was a really, really small budget. I've had another client, a local business, who spent £300, about $500, and got a similar amount, so about £5,000, $8,000 back in sales. So we're not talking, taking out a second mortgage here. We're just talking, you can start Facebook ads with, $20 if you want to. All that means, though, the lower budget you start with, the longer it's going to take you to build up the data to really train Facebook to find what you're looking for. Because when you run Facebook ads, Facebook actually gets very clever, and it learns quite quickly the people that are most likely to do the thing you want them to do. So if it's a purchase, Facebook works out the people most likely to purchase. If it's a webinar, they'll find the people most likely to register for the webinar. But you have to train Facebook to find those people. So, oh, hi Nikki, hi Sally. So if you start with a really low budget, your ads will just take much longer to build up that data to then get useful information and to train Facebook to find the right people for you. But there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not in a rush and you're looking to try out Facebook ads, then just start with $20 and start testing. And you can test higher, you can test mobile versus desktop, you can test UK versus US, you can test men versus women, you can test people who buy in this shop versus people who buy in that shop. So you can just start your testing, but just test one thing at a time. And so another question here from Sally. So do you have to have a regular weekly slot to do Facebook Live to be effective? Well, yes. I mean, I would say so, because if you just randomly pop up, then you're not going to get many people tuning in. But having said that, you get most of your reach from Facebook Live after you finished. So I never get a huge number of people live on the call. I think the most I've had is probably 10 or 15. We've got 4 at the moment here, and more people, because as I'm here speaking to you and we're talking, Facebook's going out and finding people that it thinks will find this useful and talking to my audience. So, but yeah, having a weekly regular slot definitely is a good thing to do. And particularly if you say to people, every Tuesday at 2:30, I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live on a particular topic. And then what you can do is, I always try, and I must admit, I only usually do it a day or so ahead, but I always try and say to people, this is what I'm going to be talking about this week. So that's, again, that ties back into your content strategy. So what are you working on? What do you want to be known for? What is it you're promoting? What is it you want to get the word out about? That's part of your strategy, and that might be what you talk about in your Facebook Live. So yeah, Sally, definitely, if you're going to do Facebook Live, set up a regular slot, and you know, you'll start to build up your audience then. The other little trick that I'll share with you, I've got a little app called Liveleap. So I'm actually live streaming in 2 places at once here. So I've actually cloned myself. I'm on my Facebook page, and I'm also in the Modern Marketing Club. So I'm in 2 different places. And that works really well because, you know, I've got my audience on my page and lots of people who don't know me. And then, of course, you've got your more warm, engaged audience in your group, people who know you, and are more likely to probably engage and comment and have those conversations. So really good to be able to live stream in both those places at the same time. So tip number 5, so just to run through the tips, tip number 1 is to show, don't tell. So use your stories, use your Instagram stories. Number 2 is to start conversations and be asking questions, get those conversations going. Tip number 3 is to leverage live video, to use Facebook Live. Tip number 4 is to run ads. Definitely give Facebook ads a go. If you need any help, ping me in the Modern Marketing Club, because we're running ads all the time for loads of different clients. So depending on your market and your business, it might be that you need to start with a certain type of ad. I'm really happy to give you some, give you a bit of a steer. Tip number 5, oh sorry, just one more question. So would you live stream simultaneously through your personal page? Yeah, definitely, Angela. If you're using your page to market your business, yes, you definitely can. So you can, I think with Liveleap, there's an unlimited number of platforms you can stream through. So you could do your personal and your page if you wanted to, and a group. So you could actually clone yourself. You could clone yourself all over the internet. That's it's quite funny, isn't it? So tip number 5 is to create engaging content. So we've talked about that a little bit. And then, this is where it gets really clever, is to then promote your products or services to what we call a warm audience. So if you think a cold audience is people that have never heard of you, they don't know anything about your business or what you offer or what you make. And then a warm audience is people, they may have been on your Facebook page, they may be in your group, they may have been to your website, they may have seen you speaking at an event. But it's quite hard to promote, particularly through Facebook ads, to a cold audience to sell something. So what you want to do is you want to create engaging content so that you build up a pool of people, warm audience of people that know you and they've been to your website or your group, or they've seen you in some way. They might have seen you on a Facebook Live, and then you promote to that warm audience. So does that make sense? So rather than running ads to a cold audience, you're going to build a warm audience, start to build those relationships, and then you can promote what you're doing. And that, I promise you, is a really, really effective strategy. So it's a bit of a two for strategy. Guys, what questions do you have about the Facebook algorithm? Because we spent 3 days in Brussels talking about all this stuff, and how businesses are going to use Facebook. So I would love to hear your questions. Lots of people joining the call now, so just let me know who's here in the comments. And I normally try and keep this pretty short, but I think as there's new people joining, it would be really, I'd love to have your questions. What do you think about the changes on Facebook? Are you worried? Can you see the opportunities to promote your business, or are you thinking, oh my gosh, you know, that's it now, I'm going to have to pay to play? What are you thinking about the changes to Facebook at the moment? Don't all rush at once. There's always a slight delay actually from asking questions to people and replying. So you have to get used to that on a Facebook Live, which is why I always have a little list of tips, because the worst thing is you don't want to sit there and look at yourself on the camera and think, oh, there's this awful silence. So it's useful to have a little bit, a few bullet points or something. But obviously, yeah, great question, Sally. Brilliant question. How long should you do a live for? Ideally 15 to 20 minutes. And the reason is, oh, hi, Alison. And, you know, the reason that you want to stay on a bit longer on a Facebook Live is because for every minute you're online, Facebook's finding more people. Because you probably, if you've ever been on Facebook and you see the little message pops up and it says, Cassie Hicks is live in the Modern Marketing Club now. So Facebook's out there sending those messages to people. So if you just go on Facebook Live for 3 minutes, you're pretty much done by the time Facebook's, you know, found people. So you want to have enough material, you know, always have a few tips to share, or a story or something that you know that you're sharing with people. But yeah, probably I would say 15 to 20 minutes. Which is quite interesting, isn't it? Because when you do a video, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be less than a minute or less than 2 minutes. What you can do is you can take your Facebook Lives, because they're saved as videos on your Facebook page, and you can chop them up into videos. So I could take my 5 tips and chop them up, possibly. Or I tend to just put this onto my blog and just use it like a vlog. Alison, hi. Oh, really good question here. What advice would you give to a new page looking to build a following? Now, I ran a 5-day training on that last year. So, in short, I would, you know, it's the things we've talked. I don't know when you, I know just maybe just joined the call, but in short, 3 things. One is Facebook Live. Number 2 is having a really solid content strategy. And if you want my content plan that I've just put together, I've mapped out a little content strategy planner. Just type content in the comments below and I'll send you a copy of that when it's ready. And then number 3 is advertising. So I wouldn't advertise to build up a page following, but by advertising a program or an event or a service, you will build up your page following sort of by default almost. So if you want to build up your following and you're promoting a webinar or something else that you're offering, that will build up your page following. So reading a long comment here. Aren't the changes to Facebook only annoying in terms of adjustment to what's expected? Yeah. Well, I think because, you know, if you think back even just a year or so, you could, or even a couple of years, you could post anything on Facebook and know that most of your friends and followers would see it. You know, now that's not the case, is it? You don't even know, sometimes even your own friends don't see what you post. So, you know, what chance have your business contacts got? So I'm just saying, I'm only just starting to engage in the advertising side. I don't see the change as a problem. Okay, well, that's great. I mean, the changes aren't a problem. And I think it's a bit like, they say, don't they, death and taxes are the only certain things in life. I think the other certain thing in life is that if you're running a business, the way that you promote your business is going to keep changing, in particular with social media. I mean, every single week on Facebook, something's different. They've just changed the ad manager recently. They're always adding new things. They're always messing around and testing and changing things, trying to make things easier for us. So as a business owner and entrepreneur, you've got to roll with it, and you've got to just be able to be, you know, flexible enough to, you know, it's a bit like riding the waves, isn't it? If you're on a surfboard, if you try and stay in the same place, you're just going to sink. So you've got to stay on top, just got to ride it. Alison, so has that advice changed? No, that's more important than ever, Facebook Live, advertising and having a really solid content strategy. I would say that was important before anyway, but a lot of people were trying to get around that with clickbait and all this fake news and all these viral videos and stuff like that. So that's why Facebook's changed the newsfeed, the algorithm, because of clickbait and people misusing the social media platforms basically. So no, if you do the right thing and you provide value and you've got a good content strategy, then you're not going to have a problem at all with using Facebook. So question here from Angela. Once you've begun your advertising, should you feel compelled to keep up momentum in terms of engagement? So do you mean if you're advertising, should you keep up engagement in terms of organic, or do you mean keep up momentum on your ads? Yeah, absolutely. It is good news. And I mean, I disagree with Mark Zuckerberg on the whole meaningful interaction discussion, because I don't think everybody wants to meaningfully interact all the time. I think sometimes we just want to sit back and consume content. But yeah, it's what they're trying to do. Facebook's losing a lot of younger people. So you probably know if you've got teenage kids, they're not on Facebook, they're on Instagram. I keep wanting to say ManyChat, WhatsApp, and Snapchat, and probably platforms that we haven't even heard of. So Facebook's trying to maintain the quality. It doesn't want to lose people. It wants to keep us engaged. It wants us to be spending all our time on Facebook. So yeah, I think it is a good thing. It's about quality. Guys, thank you so much for joining live. It's been brilliant to have you here. Great to see some new faces and some old friends. And thank you so much for all your questions. It's been brilliant. If you think of anything else, please, you can still comment on this thread and either on my Facebook page or in the Modern Marketing Club. So Angela's saying, I mean, keeping audience engaged. Yeah, I mean, engagement is really, really key. So with Facebook ads, you're getting people's attention, aren't you? And getting them to take an action. So it's all about a call to action and getting that attention. So whether you do that organically or whether you do that through paid, yeah, you do need to, build that momentum up. As I say, if you want my content strategy planner that I'm putting together, just type content. I know I've flagged yours, Angela, but if anyone else would like a copy, just type that in the comments and I'll get that over to you when it's ready. Otherwise, I'll see you next week, same time, same place, or same places, since I'm in two places. Otherwise, I'll see you in the Modern Marketing Club. So thanks so much, guys. I will see you there. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.